Welcome back to a special edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Crouthamel. The first commitment of the portal class of 2026 is in the books. This is Zamir Dawud. I apologize if the pronunciation is a little bit off, but he is a cornerback, formerly of Villanova, originally from North Brunswick High School in North Brunswick, New Jersey, local kid coming home who was a pretty sought after player in the portal. From our reporting, he had basically every offer from basically every G5, a dozen power fours. I think his finalists came down to Michigan State, UCLA, and Rutgers. He ended up choosing Rutgers for a multitude of reasons. But we'll get into that. We'll get into who else has departed campus, who else is now on campus, new names. We'll get into kind of where things stand generally on the board. But before we do any of that, this podcast is presented to you once again by our sponsor, FanDuel. Not many meaningful games today in terms of playoff positioning, but there are a few bets that I like. I like Jaden Higgins receiving over. I like Trey Lance rushing over and passing under. I like Kenneth Gainwell receiving over, Lamar Jackson rushing over. So those are all. That's my card for today. So let's talk Zamir Dawud. Richie, you spoke to him. You got some really good quotes. Just tell us about how this commitment came together.
Actually, I feel like you should talk about it because you kind of broke the news among our group.
Okay. Yeah, I was
from the beginning at least.
I've been out there fishing, doing a lot of source hunting, and I got word early on that Zamir Dawud was very interested in Rutgers. He was taking a visit, and it sounded like if things went to plan that he would be departing campus as a Scarlet Knight. So I kind of perked my ears up, did some research on him. Sure enough, he wants to come closer to home, show out for his hometown. He has the prerequisites that Greg Schiano prefers in his corners, and also I think that we lacked this past year. He's got speed for days. Track kid in high school, ran a 10.9 100 meters. He ran the 55-meter dash in high school. Mm-hmm. He was a part of a very good secondary for Villanova this past year, a team that was led by their secondary, really, and they made the FCS semifinal where they lost to Illinois State, who's playing for the championship next week. So a very good player, and there's just fewer guys out of high school now making the Power 4 level, with the focus being shifted towards the transfer portal. So back in, if he was a recruit 10 years ago, he's probably a kid who goes at worst G5, but because of the numbers crunches, he was a bit raw in high school. He was more of an athlete than a football player, and he got developed into a damn good football player at Villanova. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how he ended up at Rutgers, but you spoke to him most recently, so I'll let you kind of talk about what he said, why he ended up at Rutgers.
Yeah, I mean, most of these kids, they all say the same quotes. It's all very basic. He was very complimentary of Coach Schiano, and he, of course, the one quote he goes is, "The standard is the standard." And I was like, "Oh my God, dude, he's already
he's already indoctrinated."
Yeah, like he's already a robot. No, there goes that one. But no, he basically just hyped up the visit, said he got to walk around the facilities, met with some of the coaching staff members. Also, they took him out to eat a couple times, which, I mean, there's some pretty good food in New Brunswick, between Cousins, Steakhouse 85. I'm missing Frog and a Peach. I mean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Very good food. But mostly his conversations were kind of with the strength and conditioning coaches, how they're going to build him up a little bit more. Even a nutritionist staff. He just wanted to kind of get like a feel for how that works. And I'm sure I don't know what Villanova's facilities look like or how their staffs work and all that, but I'm sure Rutgers has 10 times the amount of amenities when it comes to that stuff versus Villanova. But just wanted to come home, basically. Was just happy to be home again. But he was a damn good corner at Villanova too. But I know people are looking at this and they're like, okay, we lost Jacoby Henderson. We lost Bo Masco. Cam Miller's graduating. This kid's expected to come in and start? No, I wouldn't say that at all. I think he's going to come in and compete 100% right away. I don't think he's a guaranteed starter. I don't think anyone's really a guaranteed starter at this point because they're always going to compete for positions. But I think this more so replaces like a stretch Dorillis or Nick Dorillis, where it's like a multi-year guy. He's got 3 years left. He'll come in and compete. Maybe he'll be a rotational corner in year one, depending on what they do in the portal next offseason and who develops and this and that, who else they get this offseason. He could be a starter next year. He could be another rotational piece next year. He has 2 years or 3 years? 2 years, right?
2 years.
Okay, so more than likely, it's going to go the same path of the Christian Braswell, the Trey Avery, the Eric Rogers, where he's a rotational guy this year and then becomes a starter next year. But yeah, like you said, speed, one of the better corners in FCS, all CAA conference player this year. Only gave up 22 receptions for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's pretty solid for an FCS playoff team. So,
yeah, Alec, what did you kind of see when you watched him on tape as a player?
So I watched a lot of his freshman year tape, which isn't as recent, and he was kind of doing some different things as he was this past year when he kind of broke out. But he has that speed, like you mentioned, and it allows him to play, more up in coverage towards the line of scrimmage. I also thought it was interesting. He was kind of lined up kind of in the slot, even near the box, sort of, at certain points in his freshman year as well. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, he has that ability to just catch up with guys, even if they get past him. He's pretty solid in coverage. I saw one play in his highlight reel where he did a really good job of sitting in zone coverage, reading the quarterback's eyes, and just kind of baited the quarterback into making one of those like stop route throws, and he just jumped it and made the interception. So, yeah, I like the comparison with some of the roles where, you look at a guy like Eric Rogers in 2023, kind of was one of those guys who came in occasionally, rotational guy, on and off with guys like Max Melton and Robert Longbean, things like that. And then the next year he is the number 2 and at times the number 1. So yeah, this is a pretty solid way to start the portal class, getting a guy who, could potentially, have a big role within the defensive backs. And I think the fact that, all but 2 of the defensive coaching spots are open also means we really don't know where he could sit in the depth chart. Like maybe whoever the new defensive coordinator / DB's coach or whatever, maybe they come in and they really like him and whatever, or maybe they think he, needs a year or whatever. We just don't know. But I think this is a really solid start to just kind of rebuild that defensive back room.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I want to get to some of these comments because we have a bunch in the chat here. C. Brad says, "Good morning, my brothers." Good morning, C. Brad. Thanks for joining us once again. Same thing from Chris Main. Garden State says, "I can't wait to see the next commit drop." Well, let's just say stay tuned to the boards because I don't think this will be the last bit of good news coming from this visit weekend. I'll just say that. Got a return guest. Duff Senior's back. I'm happy we're making moves. We are too. A lot of good, positive momentum for the program in the last 24 to 48 hours. Scarlet Fever, or Scarlet Ever. I'm sorry. I'm so used to just seeing Ever at the end of a Scarlet thing and thinking it's Scarlet Fever. Hoping we're making a push for some of these pit defenders, especially Rasheem Biles. What we've uncovered, it doesn't seem like we're going after any of the pit defenders. Richie looks like he just got...
Yeah, no, Rasheem Biles is like the best linebacker in the country right now in the portal. I think there's no shot in hell. I think he's at Miami. I think he's visiting Ohio State after that. Like I'm sorry. That one's just not happening.
Yeah. Jason O said, "Is Rutgers involved with the Villanova defensive back Anthony Hawkins, who is his teammate, Zamir Dawood's teammate, former teammate rather at this point? He's supposedly visiting Iowa and Kentucky so far. I have not heard Rutgers being involved with Hawkins. Speaking to people who would know. This is a good question from Tom. Did they talk about who will be coaching him at Rutgers? Richie, I'll let you handle this.
It's actually kind of funny because that was one of my first questions to him. Like, hey man, like, what's going on here? Like, what coaches did you talk to? And he's like, I talked to like about 10 of them, and I was like, okay, who? And they're all sworn to secrecy. Everyone I've talked to is very sworn to secrecy. Even we're sworn to secrecy to an extent. Yeah, we're not going to have any coaching news until next week. It sounds like your timeline that you post or you said in the last pod of 7 days versus my timeline that said more like 10 to 14. I'm leaning more towards your timeline right now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It kind of lines up with Black Monday, where coaches get fired, coaches get let go, or just in general, the NFL season's over.
There's a couple other comments if somebody wants to highlight that. I just got a message that I'm responding to.
I see nothing. I don't see anything going on there. Gotta go.
Any of it.
We will talk about that in due time. Put it like that. It is a very sensitive subject. There's a lot behind the scenes working, and we will talk about it when we can.
Yes. God, I wish we could say more. That's all I say.
I know. Yeah. Let's just say I'm confident in that one.
Yeah.
Keep moving. Checking in from Italy. Italy's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Anyways, one more thing on Dhuood. We were talking about his track speed. I did manage to find some of his times from his senior year as a track runner at North Brunswick. So I'll just put them up here. There are some like really, really impressive times here. If you want to add my
I gotta do your Here we go.
There are some really impressive times here. I mean, I'm not like
I can't see that. That's way too far.
I'm not like a huge track guy, but like, even I know that these are some pretty impressive. Like straight 11 seconds in the 100 meters, 42.9 in the 4x100. It's pretty. I
think the 4x100 is more impressive because like I'm trying to compare it to like other kids because like Josiah Brown, remember him? Now he's in the portal. Obviously, I don't think we'll go after him, but I think he ran a 10.59 100 meter, which just for context is insane. But yeah, no, he's solidly fast. I wouldn't say he's insanely fast, but he's pretty solid. Like he's probably a 4.5 if I had to guess.
And by the way, this is his brother Zahmir, who is currently a defensive back at Penn as well. So maybe if he breaks out, maybe someone else to keep an eye on if he has a really great season.
What was his 100 meter? 100 meter.
11:06.
Okay, so there's a mile split actually has a converter that tells you what the 40-yard dash is for it. So it's a 4.6 actually.
Okay, and that's high school as well. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
I just did doubly confirm that Rutgers is not involved with Anthony Hawkins.
Yeah,
kind of Villanova safety.
Figured that one. Now the interesting thing, going back to him being a Villanova guy, and I mean Ola Adams makes a lot of sense. Ola Adams recruited him to Villanova, Indiana DB's coach, former defensive coordinator, NFL ties with the Denver Broncos.
Did he? Like 100%?
I'm pretty sure he recruited him, but I don't think he ever coached him.
Okay, that would make sense because I know Ola, I think, left for Denver in like 21 or 22, right? Something like that.
I forget when it was.
I think his last season with Villanova was like 21. I could be wrong.
I believe I'm like almost positive he recruited him but didn't coach him. That was the bigger issue, but I can't find Ola Adams' fucking history at all. 22. He left for Denver late in the offseason. So, yeah, it would make sense he recruited him. But I still think he's a very good coach. I mean, he's with Indiana right now. You can sell it as they're the top team in the country. And he's young, Maryland guy, NFL ties, worked at Penn State, Big Ten ties technically. I don't know. That's the name I like the most personally right now. I know everyone loves Santucci, but and there's a chance it happens. Who knows?
Anything else we haven't talked about on the Zamir Dawud front before we start talking about other, just verging into other things that are going on?
I don't think so. I would just say, like, again, he's got 2 years. Don't expect him to be like a surefire, bona fide starter. from day one. I think he's going to come in and compete. They'll see what he could do and then go from there. I do think more than likely he's a rotational guy year one because they're probably going to go back to the 2 corners instead of 3 in the scheme and go for 3 safeties as long as they can land good safeties. And I just think he'll be like an Eric Rodgers role in year 1, and then he'll be that starter in year 2.
All right, I want to rip through some of these comments. I know in some shows we don't get too many of them, but given we have a more intimate audience today, smaller group joining us with their coffee, maybe their eggs in the morning, maybe a little bacon on the side. We got less people. But Scarlett Ever asked, which linebackers are we involved with aside from the UCLA kid who has a 100% completion rate against? We were told he's a little bit further down their board. They are talking to him, but he is not their top linebacker out there. We are actively in pursuit of trying to figure out who those top linebackers are that are targets. I know we had a guy who reported a Rutgers offer, and Chris Jones, I think his name was, the linebacker from
Southern Miss, I think.
Southern Miss.
Yeah. That
we were told was not a real offer. So take that for what it is, for what it's worth. But anybody we get confirmation on that Rutgers is super in on, we will post it to the boards for sure.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely after linebackers, put it like that too.
Yeah. Yes. Jared McCardle asked, what kind of role do you think Sage Clauges will play in the secondary this year? He'll be in the mix. I think we don't, if you haven't kind of broken onto the 2 deep, in your 3rd year in the program, I mean, you got your work cut out for you for sure.
I think he has a ton of potential. He's that tall, lengthy 6'3" corner. Like he's been hurt quite a bit, and that's been a big issue with him. So it's kind of this year's make or break for him. I do think he'll compete. I do think he'll be close to the 2 deep. The question is, will he be on a 2 deep? Like they're going for at least 2 more corners right now, which tells you kind of how they feel about the room too.
Yeah. Kathleen said pancakes too that they're having. So shout out Kathleen and the pancake stack. She also asked, did NIL have any impact on the transfer in? I think this is a blanket statement. NIL always has an impact on everybody.
This NIL, I mean, for a kid like him, doesn't mean specifically as much. Like it definitely helps because Villanova does not have like significant NIL. They have good FCS NIL, which is like not pennies, but it's not big.
They also have one of the top basketball programs in the country to support as well.
Yeah, so that's kind of their main focus. But I mean, like you said, NIL, like it's the first question they get when they walk in the door. It's like, hey, how much can I make? And did it play a little bit of a factor? Of course. But the fact that he's a North Brunswick kid, gets to play in the Big Ten now is kind of easy sell there. But he doesn't cost a lot either. Put it like that.
Yeah. Matthew Rowe asks, how confident are we in Chadwick coming to Rutgers? So he's currently on a visit to TCU, and I think if I had to lay odds on it, I think Rutgers is probably the favorite, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's definitely going to end up here either.
I'm kind of starting to lean the other way, to be honest with you.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I just think the fact that he wasn't one of the first corners they got on campus, they have another corner on campus right now in Eaglin, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, I'm sure. But I have a feeling they're going to get Eaglin as one starter if they can land him. And then you have this kid, Zamir, as the second DB. They'll probably go for another starter. I just don't know if it'll be Cam Chadwick, to be honest with you.
Well, that would be a bummer. So let's hope that's not the case.
Let's hope I'm wrong. Yeah.
Jason O said, Villanova had a very good secondary, but Monmouth scorched that ass. I hope Rutgers is recruiting Monmouth's wide receiver, Derry. We did touch on Derry on our hypothetical portal list. Doesn't sound like Rutgers is involved here. Rich, you can talk about that.
Doesn't sound like he's interested in Rutgers either. He's going to have, he has a ton of interest and a ton of different options. People I've talked to at Monmouth have said he's a better version of Dymere Miller, and that's no knock on Miller. It's just Derry's just different. I know when I first talked to them, when he first entered before the portal even started, they were thinking SEC or Big 12. So we'll wait and see how it kind of plays out. I'm leaning more towards Big 12. I don't know if he's good enough for the SEC, but who knows? We'll just kind of wait and see where he ends up. But it won't be Rutgers because he's not really interested.
And that's some pretty high praise considering Demi Miller put up like 335 yards in one of his last games at Monmouth.
Yeah.
Yep.
And his college teammate, Josh Derry's college teammate, Lamont Lester, who has been a player we have discussed a ton, is off the board. He committed to Colorado late last night. So mark that, I guess, as a feather in the cap, as a guy we identified as a Power 4 target, ends up in the Power 4.
Someone said he was going Big 12 like a month ago.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Also interesting on the defensive back front, Bo Masco, as Pete Nikos recorded, I think yesterday, is visiting Texas. And then I think he also said this morning that he might be, or no, I think it was just Texas. Sorry, I mixed him up with someone else, but that's interesting.
There's a lot of Rutgers guys on visits right now.
Yeah, let's run through like where Rutgers guys are globetrotting right now. Rich, you guys have both actually been doing a good job of keeping this up.
CJ Campbell's at UCF makes a ton of sense, in my opinion. He's an FAU, FSU, RU guy. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense to go back to Florida, Big 12. Staying down south, Jordan Walker, edge rusher, is at Georgia Tech. I think that makes a lot of sense for him because you can still stay at that Power 4 level. He's not going to be a starter there by any means, but he'll be a good rotational piece, basically what he was at Rutgers. Who else? We just talked about what the hell we just talked about? Why can't I think?
Bo Masco, sorry, going to Texas.
Bo Masco's at Texas.
Seems like a big jump, but it does make sense since Mark Orphe's there and coached him last year.
Yeah, now that's an interesting one. I guess we can kind of talk about it a little bit. I've hinted at it a million times already. It doesn't matter. He walked into Rutgers and basically asked for damn near $1 million. They're not giving a shitty corner damn near $1 million. And no offense.
Well, let's not say he's shitty. He was just inconsistent.
He's very inconsistent. So, I mean, there's screenshots on our board right now where he's going this way and the running back's all the way over here going that way. And it's just like, it just didn't work out. It is what it is. I don't think he's going to be a starter at Texas. I think he'll be like the 4th cornerback at Texas at best. And it's a feather in Mark Orphe's cap, if anything. And he could be like, yeah, look, I just brought one of the best corners. I don't understand how he's so highly ranked per like on 3, per the other sites, per everything. Like everyone has him as like a top 5 to 10 corner. And I get he has experience and he's all Big 10 conference, honorable mention. But like we've seen some really bad plays out of him this year too.
I think it's as simple as he had a fairly good PFF rating at 78, something like that. Played in the Big 10. I think it's literally that simple, and he was a multi-year starter. Like, I don't think the analysis is that deep. I'm seeing he's going to be visiting Ohio State too. I don't know if you heard of this.
Good luck.
It's an account. It's just Ohio State recruiting, and they had a list of transfer portal players scheduled or already have visited Ohio State, and Bo Masco is towards the top of that list.
Do they play Ohio State next year? Because I kind of hope so, if that's the case.
They do not. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people reporting it.
Interesting.
Silver Bulletin is reporting Ohio State is expected to receive a visit from Bo Masco, so might want to hit up our boy Gleitman.
Yeah, text him. I just don't get that one.
Another kind of former Rutgers guy, David Anua, the former edge rusher at Rutgers, was at UMass, had 4.5 TFLs, 2 sacks last year at UMass, is lining up visits to Texas Tech and Colorado, according to Pete Nikos.
That is truly unbelievable to me.
Hey, good for him. That Texas Tech defensive line is full of monsters this year. So if he can add to that, good for him.
I'm going to blitz through some of these. Coach Ed said, hit that like button and share on all social media platforms. Can't say that enough. Thank you once again, Coach Ed, longtime listener. No Good Chaos says the same thing. Hit that like button. Yes, we appreciate the likes, any comments, any subs to the channel. Always appreciated. Jason O asked, is Shiano looking to find a dynamic punt and kick returner, or is he content with fair catching everything? I think we've seen that he just wants to limit risk, and so he does not like returning kicks. Gregorio 18 asks, any news on the Harvard QB Craig and or Corbo from Dartmouth? Let's talk the Corbo kid first. He has a very robust market from my understanding. He was at Georgia Tech, as of yesterday. Also getting heavily recruited by Duke, by Syracuse, and by Illinois. I do not expect him to end up at Rutgers. And Craig, Jaden Craig, the quarterback out of Harvard, I also do not expect at Rutgers. He visited, I think, TCU as of yesterday. He's there right now. I don't expect him to end up at Rutgers, but I do think there was a lot of interest, at least from one direction, at one point.
Correct. I'd argue both directions. There was some slight early interest between the two, but it wasn't going to work.
So no good chaos also asked, hello, I just showed up. What about the DE? We need DE and DL bad. Yep, we do. We have a guy currently on campus who we will get to. I just want to clear out these comments, so let's table that one for a little bit. Let's see here. I'm trying to hit anything we haven't covered yet. Our players being told who the new DC is. We kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. Everyone has been sworn to secrecy, it seems. Nobody is willing to talk about it. So Thomas K says, I really like this kid. Real physical in the run game. Ran through some tight ends in the Penn State game. Love to see that. He also said Lamont Lester ended up at Colorado, right? Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On the previous message, that was one thing that I forgot to share. There was a clip of him absolutely lighting up Luke Reynolds from Penn State when they played, who was a 5-star, right? Luke Reynolds was a 5-star?
Borderline 5-star. You think he was the top 3 tight end in his class? And
so
is now in the portal, too.
So I figured I'll just show that one if you want to bring my screen.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, so they're playing Penn State, and he just absolutely lights up Luke Reynolds. And it may look like a it may look like a regular hit on the the broadcast view, but he lays the boom on him.
I was gonna say, yeah. I didn't think it was a huge hit when I first saw it, but now when you see it this angle, it's a lot better.
Yeah, and of course they reviewed for targeting, which I don't think if that was targeting, that would have been a travesty. But yeah.
I have an interception of his as well that I'll share because a lot of these clips are not easy to find. You'll notice that the announcement that Rutgers put out had literally one play that they showed for Dhuood.
Penguins find a rhythm.
Hey, it's John Fanta.
Bo Brungar looks down the field, fires, it's picked off! Intercepted by Zamir Dawud!
Anton on a football call is it's so weird to hear. But I guess he does that, because does he cover CAA football or?
I guess I didn't think so, but I guess he does. I mean, I guess he's just all Big East, including non-Big East sports or whatever. Yeah. Also, before we get to the next, I figured I'll show the interception that I found from his freshman year as well.
Yeah,
I think that was also his freshman year based on the number.
Oh, yeah. He wore number 37 his freshman year. So here's the pick I was talking about where he just kind of sits in the zone and baits the quarterback into making the throw.
Yeah, that was the same clip.
Alec, I was going to say that's the same exact clip.
All right, well, that's what I get for not paying attention.
It's all good.
But we saw it in 2 different views.
It was the same view.
Sort of.
It was basically the same camera angle. It was just zoomed in.
One had a scorebook. One did not.
One of them was a little bit. One of them was a little bit zoomed out.
We had a few questions about how Kelly Zinn is doing with NIL. I'm not going to put a number out there, but let's just say in 4 months she's raised more money than Rutgers has basically ever raised in NIL. Well, I won't say basically. She's raised more money than Rutgers ever has in NIL by a significant margin. She's done a great job.
Yep.
looking through here. Yeah, so that's all the stuff that we can talk about. There are, like we said, anybody who's joining late, there are topics that we wish we could say more on, but we cannot right now. That's all I can say. I know you read between the lines. You know what I'm talking about. So let's excuse me. I'm sorry for the listeners at home. That was terrible. Let's talk about some of the guys who were on a visit and what we can kind of expect level setting from them. Zahmir Dawud obviously committed. Cam Anthony, though, Ball State tight end, his visit has wrapped up. Rich, what do you expect to result from his visit?
I expect, I shouldn't say expect. I'm pretty confident that will be good news. We'll have to just wait and see. I don't think you'll hear anything in like today or even maybe the next day, maybe not even after that, but it's going to be maybe this week, I should say. It sounds like he had a really good visit, liked everything about it. I know a lot of people questioned it because he was the first like confirmation of a visit, and everyone's like, okay, cool. Ball State guy. Then you read the stat trick. Okay. But number three in a bad, number 3 top receiving threat in a bad offense. Then you start talking about how the injury and he had an Achilles tear a month ago. And it's like, okay, maybe Rutgers doesn't have NIL. Maybe we were all wrong, but no, they do. And he's actually very highly conveyed for the sole fact he has 3 years. And a lot of programs are very interested in the whole idea that I could stash him for a year. You could probably even get a medical for that year, to be honest. And then basically just have him for 2 or 3 more years because the talent's there. Everyone has seen the tape, and maybe it's limited tape because he has 17 receptions on the year, but it is pretty solid tape. He's
got 7, I think.
Is it 7? It might be 7, maybe even less than that. But yeah, everyone's pretty high on him. They think he's a good prospect in the limited film that's out there. So we'll just wait and see how it plays out. But I'm right now kind of pretty confident.
I'm going to pull up his game-winning touchdown from earlier in the year against Kent State. All I got everybody here. Let me share that now. So they were down 13-10 versus Ball State, or versus Kent State rather, and he scored the go-ahead touchdown to put them on top.
For Ball State. Their third
in as many possessions, a trick play essentially has cost them.
Yeah, it's going up after this.
By a wide. I can't believe they huddled there.
4-man rush. Kelly underneath hits Cam Anthony. It was upended just inside the third.
Up, dial it up, and then you got an extra 25 yards of room to work with.
Out of a 2-minute timeout, a flip hits Cam Anthony. Touchdown, Ball State. Cards take the lead.
It's just a clear out route there, wide open.
Kent State thinks that the play's going to the right. It's a set.
So again, he's got 7 catches on the year. There's limited material we could work with here, but he's got a big frame, obviously a huge guy. I don't think he would be an impact guy year one, but like you kind of alluded to, Rich, get him in our rehab program. By 2027, he could be, fighting for the starting role.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think talk. I was just going to say, I think that could be an interesting way to. I mean, the tight end probably isn't really ever going to be like a major feature in the offense, but getting them on just like leak outs, kind of those kinds of concepts where they just kind of leak out or clear outs or things like that could be an interesting way to get them involved.
Yeah, yep. And it's not like we use our tight ends in like the most, I don't know, the most verbose ways. We have some very defined roles for our tight ends. Hopefully those increase as time goes on. But we've shown that that's not really the case at Rutgers. So we have Braden Smith, the Tarleton State guard. He finished up his visit as well. Obviously, huge connection there with Jim Turner. Jim Turner has known him since he was early on in his high school career. Really, he credits Jim Turner for like turning him into a college prospect. He was not a guy who was he basically made him into who he is from what he kind of has said to us. How do you feel about the likelihood that Braden Smith ends up as a Scarlet Knight?
Feel very, very confident in that one. I think the Turner connection helps a ton. He is supposed to visit Iowa State. And actually, I got the 3 bubbles right now, so I'm just waiting for him to answer if he went to Iowa State or not. But I do know that he was very high on Rutgers. They went to 2 different steakhouses. I got to ask him what the other one was because I'm
outside of 85.
Yeah, I was a steak connoisseur myself. No, I'm just kidding. Here and there, a good steak. But I got to figure out what the other one was. But he was very high on the football.
I was going to say it was probably Stage Left. I've heard some from those people in the area that Stage Left is very well regarded establishment.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Anyway, got to talk to all the offensive coaches. They basically answered all his questions, had good food, loved the facilities. I can't imagine Tarleton State has anything near what Rutgers has, and Rutgers doesn't. They even have amazing. They're pretty solid, especially the weight room. The weight room's actually pretty good. But it just sounds like he's very high on Rutgers, very high on the idea of being able to play for the guy that's been training him for the past 4 years. And he'd be probably an automatic starter the minute he walks in that door. And at least I think so. Maybe he's going to have to compete for it no matter what, but he's pretty damn good according to PFF numbers and stuff like that. So. Plus, if Jim Turner trusts him, I trust him.
I hesitate to say he would be a for sure starter right away, but I do think he would have the upper hand. He would be the leader in the clubhouse there, just because I just think you never really know. You don't know who's really developed and who Jim Turner's going to lean on, and I think that's the biggest thing is if he's a Jim Turner guy and Jim Turner's kind of, being able to kind of pick his guys, that's where it makes me think he would potentially start, but I don't think it's 100% by any means.
I forgot he's younger than that. Yeah, so maybe not a guaranteed starter, but I think he'd have a good shot of fighting for that left guard spot that now is open because Brian Felter's gone. So
yeah. So that wraps up the guys who finished their visits. Let's talk about the guys who are currently on campus. We'll start off with Ryan Davis, who is the defensive end from Kansas State. So this kid is perplexing to me because I guess we'll just kind of go through who he is as a player from the headlines perspective. So Ryan Davis, this past year, got a ton of hype coming out of Kansas State's preseason camp. Offensive players were raving about how tough he was to defend against, or to block. Defensive players were talking about the impact plays he was making. Coach Kleiman, who's recently retired, even he's not the type to hype players up very much that haven't earned it. He's like an old school style coach. He was even heaping praise on Ryan Davis. He gets hurt towards the end of their camp, misses the first few games, and it really kind of wasn't right all year from what I was told. And then you have the on-field antics. So Ryan Davis was ejected from 2 games this past due to targeting, and those were both on third downs, crucial stops that turned into non-stops. He also had an additional 2 or 3 unnecessary roughness calls on top of those targeting calls, but he also had a bunch of splash plays. His PFF grade wasn't great. I think it was the 820th rated defensive end out of 870. Just seems like the kind of kid who, if they could find a way to kind of channel that aggressiveness and that tenacity onto just making football plays, he'd be pretty good. I spoke to somebody who said he was kind of like a meathead, and you kind of need those guys on your team. But I don't know. This is a weird fit, in my opinion. Rich, what are you hearing on Ryan Davis?
Well, I don't think they land him personally,
No.
because he is going to Baylor, and his former defensive coordinator is now at Baylor. So that kind of makes a lot of sense. I think he had another visit to Indiana too, and you're not going to compete with Indiana right now, even if the money's even. Like, it's just Indiana's #1 team in the country and the playoff favorite right now at the moment. So that's going to be a tough one. But yeah, I don't know about the nonsense stuff. Like, there was so much offseason hype, it sounded, about him. I was told by the Kansas State guys I know, and he just didn't end up doing anything. And now, mind you, he did get injured a couple times. He did have some stupid stuff, but the stupid stuff is what really I don't understand, for the sole fact that that's just not such a non-Greg Schiano type of player.
Yeah.
Like, he's always all about like the program and this and that. And we saw like stupid mistakes this year and like with some of these guys. And I don't know. It's just shocking to me that they would go after him, especially because he wasn't even really that good either. Like 4 sacks, solid, but most of those came against like their lesser opponents too. So it was just a little perplexing. Of all the edge rushers, this is one you're going to go after, unless you're going to take 2 or 3.
You got to take 2 or 3.
I think so too.
In my opinion.
I did, like, you already lost everybody basically. Like, you can argue that, yeah, okay, you're going to get YD Collier more snaps, you're going to get RJ Johnson more snaps, but still, you need starters, and you don't even have a backup now because Jordan Walker's gone too.
I do wonder, and I'm looking up this live, so once again, bad podcasting, but did he make any plays against us in the bowl game? Because that would have been his freshman year. He's currently a sophomore. He's listed at 6'4", 252 pounds. So last year, did he play against Rutgers in the bowl? He did not play in the bowl game, looks like.
I thought someone said he had snaps in the bowl game, but they didn't have any stats in it.
Yeah, that might be the case. He doesn't have any stats recorded from the game, I should say.
He played 26 snaps, actually. Interesting.
Okay.
2 pressures, 2 quarterback hurries. That's pretty much it.
Do you have his grades in that game?
61.1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, AKA, didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, but he very well could have had just one specific play that Schiano might have seen and been like, "Who the hell is 47?" Or so, just, you know what I mean? Like,
I did the same thing when I saw the one play where he almost took the kid's head off that was on the ground.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, because when you boil it down, the #1 core tenet of Greg Schiano's program building as a coach is, don't hurt, I guess the word, don't put the team in a bad spot yourself. Like, that's basically what it boils down to. The chop and all that. That's what it boils down to. So it's interesting. I guess, let Mike, like you said, if they can, if they think they can, put that to good, to trying to lean away from the what's it called? Lean away from the stupid stuff and kind of channel that into good stuff. Maybe. The funny thing is, the 4 sacks he had last year still would have led the team this year and the year before that, or tied for the team lead the year before that. So that's the tough part.
Yeah, no, I mean, we certainly have not had a lot of production coming off the edge in a long time, so we need a lot of help. If I think we probably need at least 3 edge rushers this cycle. So if he's one of the 3, so be it. But I don't know. I mean, you do need guys with an edge on your defense. I will say that. Like, that Cowboys documentary on Netflix, I thought it was really well done. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but they talked about the impact of getting a guy like Charles Haley was on that defensive line, where they had a lot of good players, but he was really just that psychotic straw that stirred the drink that made the rest of the defense just play at a different level, because you saw how tenacious Charles was and how just the crazy amount of effort he put into every play, and just the edge he played with was something that permeated. So I think if you could harness it, like you guys said, it's something that they could use for good, but it's a risk for sure.
Real quick, going back to Braden Smith before we go too far. He is going to Iowa State tonight still, but Rutgers feels confident. So we'll see. We'll have to see if they can hold them off.
Gotcha. So that's the Ryan Davis 4-on-1. Let's talk about Justin Eaglin. So Justin Eaglin is the corner out of James Madison, who I'm actually really excited about. He is a guy who had a lot of production from the cornerback position this past year. He had 5 interceptions, including one in the CFP game for the Dukes. He is currently on campus. He's also, I just saw his visit to Colorado is confirmed. He'll be there from the 5th to the 6th. Let's talk a little bit about Justin Eaglin. How did Rutgers get involved with this kid?
So Pine Forest High School, I think I might have mentioned this last pod actually, now I think about it, but Pine Forest High School down in North Carolina, it's the same high school as Donovan Johnson, the 2026 offensive lineman signee. So there is a little bit of a connection there. We know Hurricane Valone has done really well down in the Carolinas specifically. He's built a lot of relationships with coaches and stuff. And he's just a damn good corner on top of it all. Like, he was one of the better ones in the Sun Belt. He has some really good numbers, 5 interceptions on the year, a block kick. He's a super athletic kid. I think if I read this right, where is he ranked in the portal? He's one of the higher ranked corners. But yeah, I mean, Rutgers, Colorado offered. I think he's got some other interest.
The football is picked off. That's Eaglin to the 20.
This other guy looks like he's got a ton of speed just from watching his film too.
You know, almost just ran over the cheerleaders too.
What a play by Eaglin.
He's listed at 6'1", 175 pounds. He'd only have 1 year of eligibility.
Pressure behind him, forced him forward.
So that's I guess the one negative is that you don't get him for more than 1 year.
Right to him.
Trying to see if I can find his track
6'6".
times.
Yeah, he was intended to get the ball to Joshua Meredith. You can see it really good right here.
Oh, yeah. He didn't go.
But yeah, just a ball hawk, made a ton of plays on the ball in college. He's currently on campus. How do you feel from a confidence level that Rutgers would end up landing this kid?
I think Rutgers does very well with defensive backs. It wouldn't shock me if he ended up committing before going to Colorado. I think in an ideal world, they want him to commit before he goes to Colorado, because once you leave campus for other visits, that's where it gets really a lot more difficult, I should say, to land a kid. Now, it's not unheard of. You could still land a kid despite him going on other visits, but you would like to get this locked down immediately. It's not like where it previously used to be, where you want to be the last visit before a decision happens. Now you almost want to be the first, so you can convince them not to go anywhere else and just get it over and done with.
Which they've done a pretty good job of doing in the past, of just making sure guys don't leave campus, which is why it's a little surprising to me that Braden Smith's even making that visit.
So he's actually going to visit Houston too on the 6th.
Ooh.
That one's going to be interesting for the sole fact that obviously Houston is a pretty decent
Texas
program, and then obviously Texas, which is close to home, and he's been there his entire life. It is a big like culture shock too to go from Texas to New Jersey, so like it's not like the easiest sell. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens.
Alec, what are your thoughts on Eaglin?
Yeah, I think he would be one of those starting caliber guys that I think you could, I don't want to say like directly plug and play, but I feel like if he were to come in, he would be one of those guys that would kind of be a favorite to start, because he has that experience playing for a playoff team. And obviously Rutgers has dipped into the James Madison bucket before for transfers. So, yeah, I think that would be a really strong get. And I talked about this on whatever day of the week that was for our last live show. It's winter break. It's the days of the week don't mean anything anymore. But I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are very, very high on him. They think he's one of like the best corners in the portal just based off his tape. So I think that would be a major get. And you would also be able to beat out some programs who are, big into investing in the transfer portal. So
yeah, no, he'd be a guy I'd be super excited about. No doubt starter if he ends up at Rutgers. So really hope we land him. Another guy that is slated to be on campus either as we speak or later today is actually a wide receiver. Ja'Cory Thomas, the wide receiver.
No.
No? Okay.
No, he's not visiting.
He's not visiting. Okay. Never mind.
We'll just next thing that one. He's on the board, put it like that, but he's not visiting.
Got it. All right. Never mind there.
I'll throw a tidbit out there. There's a good chance they're gonna host a receiver soon. It's not him.
Okay.
We'll wait and see when that plays out. You'll probably hear about it on the round table before you hear about it on here.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. My wires got crossed.
They are interested in Ja'Cory Thomas, but he's a little bit lower on the board. I know who.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my bad. Anybody else that we haven't talked about that's currently on campus?
Eaglin's on campus. Evans just left campus. There's 2 others on campus that we'll post about soon enough. Yeah. I think that's really it, right?
One interesting one that I don't think Rutgers really has a chance with. Amari Campbell, the linebacker from Penn State, just announced he's entering the portal, but he is a Virginia native. Went from Manassas, the same town. I think the same place in Virginia as Matthew Lamar, different high school, but you can probably guess where that one's probably going to go.
Hokies.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh
well. I think that's really it.
We got anything else?
Daryl Dengoe into the portal. That one was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, that was surprising. What happened there?
So it sounds like his agent was kind of shopping him around while he was also telling Rutgers that he's staying. So it's like, you can't do that, buddy. Like, and half these agents aren't actually agents. There's no credential that says that you can be an agent or not in college. It's basically like, I'm going to change my Twitter bio today, baby, and now I'm an agent. Like, guy has maybe not even a degree, like might have a bachelor's degree in like economics, and it's like, yep, agent, here we go. This is it. This is how I'm going to make money now. And the crazy thing is a lot of these agents are, for lack of a better term, there's good ones out there, but there's a lot of scumbags out there. They're going for like 20% of these kids' contracts. It's insane to even consider that. Like, when most agents in the NFL go for what, like 5%, maybe 10%.
I think 3% is the going rate in the NFL.
Yeah, that's and that's I know there's a lot more money being thrown around in the NFL, but 20%, like, damn, man, like, what are you, my lawyer? I have you on retainer at this point? Like, this is crazy. But yeah. Anyway, sounds like that was part of the reason, because I actually thought Daryl Dengoe had a lot of potential. I thought he'd be a really good prospect. And I think he was definitely 100% a rotational guy this year, pending health, of course. But he just wasn't able to stay healthy, and that played a role. He only played 4 games, and lo and behold, he is now gone. So you might have to add another defensive tackle on top of the one that you're already kind of looking for as a starter.
I just read a tidbit about Corey Parrish. Apparently, is most likely going to end up at Miami reuniting with Corey Heatherman.
That would make sense, and can probably pony up a good amount as well.
It's interesting because LSU was supposedly like his biggest offer on the table by far, and that was their big threat. But I could see Miami matching it too, or overpaying.
Yeah, honestly, with Dengoe, I thought he was probably the best D tackle, at least when he was on the field. I thought he made some solid plays. He rotated in every now, most of the time when he was in, he was rotating around. But I liked what I saw from him. So yeah, they really have to rebuild that defensive line. They have to rebuild the entire defense. So it'd be interesting to see how they navigate that.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Their defensive tackle board for scholarship players, or I shouldn't say scholarship players because this has non-scholarship players too. But there's one walk-on, I should say, in the D tackle room. But as of right now, they have 7 defensive tackles. Only one of them is above sophomore eligibility, and that's Doug Blue Eli, who's probably a starter next year as long as he's healthy. Farrell Ganago played some solid snaps, but I don't think you can count on him. But I think he's a 2-deep guy. Braxton Kyle broke his foot. I don't want to say he's going to be a 2-deep guy, but they were very high on him before the broken foot. Raiden Bruins was a true freshman. Giant Simon was also a true freshman, and there's 2 walk-ons. Like, not looking pretty right now for that room. They're going to have to add a couple pieces.
This is a good question from MonZW4UI. Will Rutgers look at Owen Wafel, who Rutgers had on campus last offseason as a transfer out of Michigan, ended up at Penn State. The thought was him and his brother were going to end up at Penn State. His brother Luke Wafel ends up with USC. So Owen entering the portal, especially after a coaching change, was the likely outcome. Do you see Rutgers getting back involved here? Third time's a charm.
Maybe for depth purposes, but I just don't know what he wants to do because he was playing pretty well at Penn State and then got hurt. And then I don't think he was able – I shouldn't say he was playing pretty well. He was looking pretty good in practice and then got hurt. Missed a good chunk of the season. I would reach out maybe just to say what's up, but honestly, I do think he's going to end up elsewhere, whether it be Virginia Tech, whether it be his defensive line coach just went to South Carolina and Deion Barnes, so that's always a name to keep an eye on. I do think he ends up going elsewhere. I don't think they end up reaching out this go around. They haven't actually reached out to any of the Hun School kids in the portal, which is kind of nuts to me because Logan Howland just seemed like a not surefire lock, but like a guy that you could go out and get a starting caliber power forward offensive tackle, do it in a heartbeat. But other than that, I don't think it ends up happening this go around. I think it's the Wafel train is over. Yeah. Only pancakes in this house.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for you guys today. Stay tuned to the boards because all this news broke before we talked about it on the pod. So if you want the IV drip right into your veins, you got to be on the boards. And Rich, if somebody who's listening at home wanted to join, but maybe they're a deal seeker, not somebody who likes to pay full price, what do you got to tell them?
Sign up for the night report right now. Just no promo code, no nothing. Just hit join on the site. It's at the top right at thenighreport.com. 50% off for the entire year. You get the $120 bundle, which includes not only the night report, you also get On3 Premium. There's Rivals Premium. I know it sounds weird because we're all merged together now, but you get access to the Mega Board, which is like some crazy, wacky board that has everything. The main board, you could talk to insiders, Pete Nakos, Hayes Fawcett, Joe Tipton, et cetera, almost immediately. Just tag them in a forum post, and they're responding to guys. On top of all that, you get a free year of the Athletic Premium as well. Get a bunch of shit, basically. And on top of it all, you get us and our commentary, and we'll give you a heads up on every single transfer portal prospect before something happens. I have a feeling that we will be on the boards momentarily talking about another one sooner rather than later. There'll probably be at least one within the next 2 days. Sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah, keep an eye on that. A lot of updates coming in fast. So stay tuned. We have a staff portal thread right at the top of the board. It's pinned. Check it out. That's where we're going to post all the good content, and then we'll double down and post it in the actual forum too.
Love to hear it. I also want to thank our sponsor, FanDuel, once again. A lot of good bets on the board today for the NFL slate. Go out and get them. Reference them at the top. I want to congratulate Alec and his Seattle Seahawks clinching the number 1 seed and a first-round bye last night in an ugly but decisive win over the divisional rival 49ers. Richie,
they told me I was crazy.
Shout at number 1.
We are going to be number 1 today. I'm confident in it. Number 1 draft pick. We're still going to get it. Go Raiders.
Number 1 seed, number 1 draft. They said I was crazy when I said that the Seahawks had a championship level defense. Well, I don't know if they said I was crazy for that, but
when you say it every year, it's.
Hey, you saw what they did to Brock Purdy. They put that guy in a blender.
Yeah. Whatever. Have fun losing in the first or second round. Sorry.
Yeah, can't lose in the first round. So.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Everybody who's subscribed, told a friend. Really appreciate you all joining us on a Sunday morning. Enjoy the sports day today, and stay tuned to the boards and your podcast feed because you never know when we're going to be back out here because news is flying fast and furious.
Maybe a defensive coordinator. I'm just saying.
Maybe. All right, but we will see you guys next time. For me and Alec and Richie, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.